Hey guys, a very quick one. Guess what? We're going to learn something very sweet. And then I'll take you around every singular thing about elements, compounds, and mixtures. As far as your Jamb is concerned, as well as your Waec. Yeah, let's look at it together. And we're going to look at some basic lovely things inside of your elements, compound, and your mixtures. If you are excited, say, hooray! Let's go together. This is our lesson 1. And in this lesson 1, of course, it's expected of us generally under this topic to know every singular thing, 4 things basically. And the 4 things there, number 1 is elements. What should you know about elements? What are the elements you should know? Number 2, compounds. I'm going to look at it. And then number 3, your mixtures. After that, number 4, of course, usual past questions. I'm going to cap it up together. So if you are excited, sit tight, fasten your seatbelts, grab a juice as we fly together. Let's start the first elements. So when they say elements, the first big question is, what should come into our mind? What should we know about elements? What does elements connote? What do they stand for? What is expected of us to note? First, tell us that elements are substances. What are elements? They are substances that cannot be broken down into other simpler units by an ordinary chemical process. In other words, when I have elements like oxygen, for example, whether it's oxygen or hydrogen, I can't break down oxygen into anything simpler than that. Are you getting it now? So elements are substances which cannot be broken down into other simpler units by an ordinary chemical process. So you can't use any ordinary chemical process to go and break down what elements. You get this for the last time. What is an element? Elements are substances that cannot be broken down into other simpler units by what? An ordinary chemical process, right? Of course, if you try to be compound, like for example, let me say water, H2O. Of course, now this guy can be broken down into hydrogen and what? Oxygen, right? H2, that's your H plus, and then your what? Your O2 minus. In other words, I can break down water, but I cannot break down oxygen or hydrogen, because oxygen and hydrogen, they are elements. I can break down my compound and then I can have like elements from it, but I cannot break down elements to give me something simpler than that. For the last time, what's an element? Elements are substances which cannot be broken down into other simpler units by an ordinary chemical process. Now, of course, follow me, let me show you something lovely. Now, you must notice very quickly that, of course, within the periodic table, there's what is called your first 20 elements, right? You can see them very fast. Here, you can see your hydrogen, your helium, your lithium, your beryllium, your boron, your carbon, your nitrogen, your oxygen, fluorine, neon, right? You can see your sodium, magnesium, aluminium, silicon, phosphorus, sulfur, chlorine, argon, potassium, and calcium. If it's looking confusing for you, just follow me. When I get to periodic table, I'm going to explain and dismantle this in details. But first, regarding this exam in particular, we have to know the first 20 elements. Yes, so first 20, not just first 20, but first, you must know these first 20 elements. And how do I know first 20? Well, I'm going to learn 40 elements in general. But first, know the first 20, right? The first is your hydrogen. So after hydrogen, what do we have next? Helium, right? Lithium, beryllium, boron, carbon, nitrogen, oxygen, fluorine, neon, sodium, magnesium, aluminium, silicon, phosphorus, sulfur, chlorine, argon, potassium, calcium. Sure, you see, very simple, first 20 elements. As well as their symbols, you don't even need to come and shout symbols for you. If you like play, no symbols, I'll give you nothing. Now let's go very quickly. What are the first 20 elements? Hydrogen, helium, lithium, beryllium, boron. Follow me. Hydrogen, helium, lithium, beryllium, boron. Again, hydrogen, helium, lithium, beryllium, boron. Come on. Hydrogen, helium, lithium, beryllium, boron. You should not just be listening to me or be smiling. Sing along. That's the only way you're going to know it. Are you with me? As I'm singing it, sing it along with me. I don't like the idea of all those ones that you do. KKN of Naka. All those things are waste of time. Just know it is very simple. Hydrogen, helium, lithium, beryllium, boron. Come on. Hydrogen, helium, lithium, beryllium, boron. carbon, nitrogen, oxygen, fluorine, neon. Carbon, nitrogen, oxygen, fluorine, neon. Come on. Hydrogen, helium, lithium, beryllium, boron. Carbon, nitrogen, oxygen, fluorine, neon. Let's go. Hydrogen, helium, lithium, beryllium, boron. Carbon, nitrogen, oxygen, fluorine, neon. Let's go. Hydrogen, helium, lithium, beryllium, boron. Carbon, nitrogen, oxygen, fluorine, neon. Come on. Hydrogen, helium, lithium, beryllium, boron. Carbon, nitrogen, oxygen, fluorine, neon. Now, sodium, magnesium. Sodium, magnesium. Sodium, magnesium. Come on. Aluminium, silicon. Sodium, magnesium. Aluminium, silicon. Come on. Sodium, magnesium. Aluminium, silicon. Phosphorus, sulfur. Chlorine, argon. Phosphorus, sulfur, chlorine, argon. Start from sodium, magnesium, aluminium, silicon, phosphorus, sulfur, chlorine, argon, potassium, calcium. Come on, potassium, calcium. Shall you see now? Sodium, magnesium, aluminium, silicon, phosphorus, sulfur, chlorine, argon, potassium, calcium. Everybody, let's go. Want to go? Hydrogen, helium, lithium, beryllium, boron, carbon, nitrogen, oxygen, fluorine, neon. Hey, sodium, magnesium, carbon, aluminium, silicon, phosphorus, sulfur, chlorine, argon, potassium, calcium. Everybody, hydrogen, helium, lithium, beryllium, boron, carbon, nitrogen, oxygen, fluorine, neon. Sodium, magnesium, aluminium, silicon, phosphorus, sulfur, chlorine, argon, potassium, calcium. Sure, you see that is very, very simple. Oh yeah, let's go. Now you, before we go to 21 to 40, tell me the first 20 elements. One to go. Hold on a bit. The complete series of classes, right, as far as your syllabus is concerned regarding your Jamb and Waec, everything has been covered in details for you in the LearnLift app. And guess what? The sweet part is that you have access to your CBT, right? You have access to your video lessons. You have access to your notes. You have access to your past questions. Everything from the beginning to the end is directly in the LearnLift app for you. So all you have to do is just mark down to Play Store or App Store and download the LearnLift app where you follow all your classes from the beginning to the end. A quick one before we move. Let's get back to class. Enjoy. Hydrogen, helium, lithium, beryllium, boron, carbon, nitrogen, oxygen, fluorine, neon, sodium, magnesium, aluminium, silicon, phosphorus, sulfur, chlorine, argon, potassium, calcium. Very simple, easy and direct, right? If you catch that very quickly with me, I like by telling you something. There are two different ways anyway we can sing them, right? So instead of us using hydrogen, helium, lithium, beryllium, boron, carbon, nitrogen, oxygen, I can give you another song very quickly. Now follow me and get this very fast. The second way is very simple. Hydrogen, helium, lithium, beryllium, boron, carbon, nitrogen, oxygen, fluorine, neon, sodium, magnesium, aluminium, silicon, phosphorus, sulfur, chlorine, argon, potassium, calcium. Hey, which one do you prefer? Hydrogen, helium, lithium, beryllium, boron, carbon, nitrogen, oxygen, fluorine, neon, sodium, magnesium, aluminium, silicon, phosphorus, sulfur, chlorine, argon, potassium, calcium. So you see, very simple. Any of the two you want to follow, you are very, very free, right? But if you get this very quickly, what about element 21 to 40? Very simple. We have your scandium, titanium, vanadium, chromium, manganese, iron, cobalt, nickel, copper, zinc. That's 30. Are you saying it now? Scandium, titanium, vanadium, chromium, manganese, iron, cobalt, nickel, copper, zinc. What about 31 to 40? Under there, they will now have things like your what? Gallium, germanium, arsenic, selenium, bromine, krypton, rubidium, strontium, yttrium, and zirconium. Gallium, germanium, arsenic, selenium, bromine, krypton, rubidium, strontium, yttrium, and zirconium. gallium, germanium, arsenic, selenium, bromine, krypton, rubidium, strontium, yttrium, zirconium. Listen, whether for WAEC or for Jamb, if you don't know the first 40 elements, you are going to throw away some questions in the hall. That's the reality. So how do I know 21? I know 1 to 20, but how do I know 21 to 40? Can I give it to you? Let's go. Scandium, titanium, vanadium, chromium, manganese. Come on, scandium, titanium, vanadium, chromium, manganese. Scandium, titanium, vanadium, chromium, manganese. Scandium, titanium, vanadium, chromium, manganese. Want to go? Scandium, titanium, vanadium, chromium, manganese. Let's go. Scandium, titanium, vanadium, chromium, manganese. Scandium, titanium, vanadium, chromium, manganese. Iron, cobalt, nickel, copper, zinc, gallium. Iron, cobalt, nickel, copper, zinc, gallium. Start from 21. Scandium, titanium, vanadium, chromium, manganese. Scandium, titanium, vanadium, chromium, manganese. Iron, cobalt, nickel, copper, zinc, gallium. Come on, scandium, titanium, vanadium, chromium, manganese. Iron, cobalt, nickel, copper, zinc, gallium. Hey, scandium, titanium, vanadium, chromium, manganese. Come on, iron, cobalt, nickel, copper, zinc, gallium. Let's go, scandium, titanium, vanadium, chromium, manganese. Iron, cobalt, nickel, copper, zinc, gallium. Scandium, titanium, vanadium, chromium, manganese. Hey, iron, cobalt, nickel, copper, zinc, gallium. Are you seeing it now? Then you now say germanium, arsenic. Now, germanium, arsenic. Come on, germanium, arsenic. Germanium, arsenic. Germanium, arsenic. Germanium, arsenic. Germanium, arsenic. Selenium, bromine. Selenium, bromine. Germanium, arsenic. Selenium, bromine. Germanium, arsenic. Selenium, bromine. Come on, germanium, arsenic. Selenium, bromine. Germanium, arsenic. Selenium, bromine. Come on, germanium, arsenic. Selenium, bromine. Krypton, rubidium. Krypton, rubidium. Krypton, rubidium. Strontium, yttrium. This is strontium, not scrotum. Strontium, yttrium. Zirconium. This is zirconium. Germanium, arsenic. Selenium, bromine. Krypton, rubidium. Strontium, yttrium, zirconium. Let's start from 21. Scandium, titanium, vanadium, chromium, manganese. Iron, cobalt, nickel, copper, zinc, gallium. Come on, germanium, arsenic. Selenium, bromine. Krypton, rubidium. Strontium, yttrium, zirconium. Everybody. Scandium, titanium, vanadium, chromium, manganese. Come on, iron, cobalt, nickel, copper, zinc, gallium. Germanium, arsenic. Selenium, bromine. Krypton, rubidium. Strontium, yttrium, zirconium. That's all. That's all. Oh, that's all. That's all. Only you pause and be recalling the song and be saying it and saying it until it become part of you. The first 40 elements are hydrogen, helium, lithium, beryllium, boron, carbon, nitrogen, oxygen, fluorine, neon, sodium, magnesium, aluminium, silicon, phosphorus, sulfur, chlorine, argon, potassium, calcium. Everybody scandium, titanium, vanadium, chromium, manganese, iron, cobalt, nickel, copper, zinc, gallium, germanium, arsenic, selenium, bromine, krypton, rubidium, strontium, yttrium, zirconium. You are done, and you are totally out of there with the first 40 elements. If you get this very quickly and you are sure that you understand it to the core, guess what? We're going to learn the properties of elements. Oh yes, very importantly, the big question is, what are the properties of elements? Very, very interestingly, well, the properties of elements are very simple. I'll give you a couple of them. Number one is called indivisibility. What is it called? Indivisibility. By indivisibility, what do we refer to? You must know that elements cannot be broken down into simpler substances. So I can't carry any of the elements now and want to break it down into a simpler substance. It's not possible. Through ordinary chemical processes, can elements be broken down into simpler substances through ordinary chemical processes? No. For each element consists of only and only one type of atom. In other words, for example, let's say your oxygen molecule, right? Oxygen molecule is O2. It contains only one type of atom, and that atom is what? Oxygen, right? So it is one atom of oxygen plus another atom of oxygen that is making up a molecule of oxygen. As we move, you are going to learn a lot of all of these things, so just follow me. So elements cannot be broken down into simpler substances through ordinary words, chemical processes. And then we said that each atom, each element consists of only one type of what? Atom. Another property is called periodic table. Oh yes, periodic table. By periodic table, what we refer to, first and foremost, all known elements in this world, they are organized into what forms the what? The periodic table. And you can classify them on the basis of their atomic number, their properties, and their what? Similarities. That, see, when they say atomic number is the major basis for the classification of what? Elements. And when you arrange them like that on the basis of the atomic number, like for example, let's say, okay, all the elements we have in this world, you arrange them on the basis of the atomic number. You are not looking at the ones that have similar properties. You're not be grouping them together as well as similarity. So that's how periodic table was formed. When we get there, I'll teach you everything about your periodic table. So give me two properties of elements. Number one is called indivisibility. Number two is called your periodic table. If you get this very quickly with me, no stress, no stress. What are the types of elements that we have? Oh yes, let's rock it together. Under the types of elements we have, they include the following. Number one, we have metals, right? Elements. We have your non-metals, which are also elements. And then we have what is called your noble gases. And then we have what is called your metalloids. So we have your metals, your non-metals, your noble gases, your metalloids. Your metals, non-metals, noble gases, metalloids. All of these are what? Elements. I.e., when they say metals, what should we know about them very quickly? Very simple and direct. Just tell us that your metals, they are typically, of course, this is just basic foundational knowledge. When we get to periodic table, I'll settle down and explain everything to you. In fact, there is a topic called metals and its compounds, right? And they also have non-metals and their compounds. I will explain all of it one after the other to you. Now let's go very fast. Under your metals, you know that metals are shiny. These are characters, not definition. They are the characteristics. They are conductive. They can conduct like heat and electricity. Metals are malleable, right? And if you get that very quickly with me, examples of metals, there are things like your iron, your copper, your gold. All of these guys are metals. Your iron, Fe, your copper, Cu, your gold, Au. All of these guys are what? Metals. And the second is called your non-metals. Yeah. So by non-metals, what should you know? Very fast. Non-metals are often gases. What are non-metals? They are gases, or they are brittle solids. Gases or brittle solids. That means they are not really that hard. Are you getting it now? Exception of some one or two variations over here. They have varying properties. Their properties are not uniform all through. They are varying. What are their examples? Things like your oxygen, non-metal. Sulfur, non-metal. Carbon. In fact, carbon is a non-metal. But you know, under listening carefully, carbon is a non-metal. But sir, I think there is to group carbon under group 4 elements as your what? Your metalloids. When we get there, I will explain every singular thing back to back for you, right? Under your allotropes of carbon, that's why you now have diamond and what? Graphite. But, oh, they go. Another thing very quickly are the noble gases. Oh yes. Inside the noble gases, what should we know specifically? You must know this very fast, that noble gases are chemically inert. Inert means they are unreactive, right? They do not react. And they exist as gases at room temperature. So your noble gases, what are they? They are gases. Noble gases, of course, from the name gases, they are inert and they are gases at what? Room temperature. So they are unreactive. And you must know this very quickly with me, that examples are things like your helium, your neon, your argon, your krypton. All of these guys are what? Noble gases. And then we now have your metalloids. Metalloids in between. They have the character of both metals and non-metals. They are just more like in between, right? You must know this very fast, that the elements here under metalloids, they exhibit properties of both metals and non-metals. So they have both metallic and non-metallic character. And they are found along the staircase. That's why we call them staircase elements of the periodic table. When they say staircase elements of the periodic table, what are they? They are the metalloids. Shade the feel now, they are the metalloids. Don't play. You must know this very quickly with me, that their examples are silicon. We have silicon, we have germanium, and then sometimes boron also come into play. when we talk about your what, your metalogs. It's in periodic table. When I show you the periodic table and then I begin to explain all of them for you one after the other, that's how you are going to understand it some more. If you get this very quickly with me, guess what? This is everything about your elements. Hooray! I'll see you in the next lesson. And our next lesson is what? Lesson 2. We are done with elements. We are going to start something very, very powerful. I want you not to forget that at the end of these lessons, we are going to look at the past questions. And in that past questions, you must do extremely well. I'll see you in the next class. Bye-bye. Hope you've enjoyed this class. Guess what? To follow up for more classes, just download the LearnLift app, whether on Play Store or App Store, and then follow up your classes. You must do extremely well. I'll see you in class. Bye-bye.